Winners don't just wake up and win by accident. They think differently. They see obstacles as opportunities, setbacks as stepping stones, and failures as lessons. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't luck, it's mindset. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Philippians 3:13-14. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. A winning mindset isn't about arrogance or self-sufficiency. It's about faith, discipline, and trust in God's plan. It's the mindset that Paul had when he refused to be defined by his past, but kept pressing forward. Philippians 3:13-14. It's the mindset that David had when he faced Goliath, not seeing a giant to fear, but an opportunity for victory. God has given us the mind of Christ, 1 Corinthians 2:16, but it's up to us to walk in it. With the right mindset, we can overcome challenges, grow through adversity, and step into the life God has called us to live. Let's dive into the wisdom and principles that shape the mindset of winners, helping us think, believe, and live victoriously every single day. Winners think differently. They see challenges as opportunities. A winner's mindset isn't afraid of challenges. It embraces them as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, they recognize them as necessary parts of the journey. While others get discouraged by difficulties, winners lean in, adapt, and find ways to overcome. They don't just endure hardships, they adjust, innovate, and come out stronger. If one door closes, they don't stand there knocking forever. They look for another way in. Think about Joseph. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, he had every reason to be bitter. But instead of being defeated by his hardships, he allowed them to shape him. He didn't sit in prison complaining. He used his gift of interpreting dreams, making himself valuable wherever he was. Genesis 39:21-23. That adaptability positioned him for greatness. What seemed like setbacks were actually God's setup for his destiny. Genesis 50:20. A winning mindset doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead asks, "What can I learn from this?" Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Whether it's a career setback, a difficult relationship, or an unexpected failure, winners refuse to see obstacles as the end of the road. They see them as part of the process. They shift when necessary, but they never stop moving forward. Winners understand that God's plans don't always unfold in a straight line. There will be detours, delays, and redirections. But instead of getting stuck in disappointment, they remain flexible. If one path is blocked, they pivot, not in fear, but in faith, trusting that God's purpose will prevail. Like a river that flows around rocks instead of stopping at them, winners adjust their course but keep moving toward the destination. Consider Paul. His mission was to spread the gospel, but every time he faced persecution, imprisonment, or resistance, he adjusted his approach. He wrote letters when he couldn't visit churches, preached in prisons when he was locked up, and shifted to new cities when one rejected him. His message never changed, but his methods did. Philippians 1:12-14. Say this winning thought out loud. I will not let my challenges defeat me. I will let them refine me. If my path shifts, I will shift with it, but I will never stop pursuing God's purpose for my life. Winners, look forward, not back. The past is a powerful teacher, but it's a terrible master. Winners don't dwell on what's behind them, whether failures or successes. They learn from the past, but they don't live in it. Paul said it best in Philippians 3:13-14. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Some people lose, not because they fail, but because they settle. They achieve one victory and then pause, living in the glow of yesterday's success instead of striving for new growth. The moment you stop moving forward, you risk stagnation. If an athlete wins a championship and stops training, they don't stay at the top for long. If a business finds success but refuses to innovate, it eventually crumbles. In the same way, our spiritual growth suffers when we stop seeking more of God, more wisdom, and more purpose. Think about the Israelites. God delivered them from Egypt with signs and wonders, yet instead of pressing forward into the promised land, they kept looking back. Some even wished to return to slavery because it felt more familiar than the unknown future. Numbers 14:3-4. Instead of embracing God's next, they let fear and nostalgia hold them back. How often do we do the same? Do we get so caught up in what was that we miss what could be? Success can be just as dangerous as failure. It can make people complacent, causing them to lose the hunger that once drove them forward. The temptation is to sit back and celebrate past achievements instead of chasing new opportunities. But winners understand that each success is just another stepping stone. They don't camp in yesterday's victories. They keep moving forward into what's next. A winning mindset asks, is this bringing me closer to my goal, or is it pulling me away? If something, whether failure, regret, or even success, is keeping them stuck, they release it. They refuse to be distracted by what was, and instead set their eyes on what's ahead. The future belongs to those who press on, no matter what's behind them. Winners control their thoughts. A person's greatest battles are fought in the mind long before they unfold in real life. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. What fills the mind will eventually shape actions, and what shapes actions will determine the course of life. Those who walk in victory don't just win because they are stronger or more skilled. They win because they think differently. David's greatest battle wasn't with Goliath. It was with the thoughts he had before he ever picked up his sling. While others saw a giant too powerful to defeat, David saw an opportunity for God to show his power. His mind wasn't clouded with fear, self-doubt, or intimidation. He had already made up his mind. He would not lose to fear. When he stood before Saul, he didn't waver or second-guess himself. He spoke with confidence, recalling what God had already done for him. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. His mind had already chosen faith over fear, and that made all the difference. A winning mindset doesn't mean there won't be moments of hesitation or uncertainty, but winners don't let fear make decisions for them. They refuse to dwell on doubt, insecurity, or failure. Instead, they fill their minds with what is true. They silence the voice that says, "You can't," and declare, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. They refuse to let negativity control them, choosing instead to meditate on God's word and let it shape their perspective. Romans 12:2. It's easy to let the mind run wild with worst-case scenarios, past failures, and fear of the unknown. But winners train their thoughts, just as they train their bodies. They shift their focus from what could go wrong to what God has already made right. Winners see themselves through God's eyes, not the world's. Life is shaped by how we see ourselves. The world tells us we are defined by our past, by our failures, by what others think. But winners think differently. They don't let labels define them. They don't let circumstances limit them. Instead, they see themselves the way God sees them, full of purpose, created for something greater than what their current situation suggests. David was never just a shepherd. Long before anyone else saw it, he was anointed to be king. Joseph wasn't just another prisoner. He was a ruler in the making. And Gideon? He may have seen himself as weak and unqualified, but God called him a mighty warrior before he had ever fought a single battle. Too often, we limit ourselves because we measure our worth by the wrong things. We see what people see. We define ourselves by where we are instead of where we are meant to be. But God doesn't call us based on where we stand today. He calls us based on the future He has already set in motion. A winning mindset starts with shifting your focus. Instead of seeing yourself through your fears, your past mistakes, or the expectations of others, see yourself through the one who made you. You are not just another face in the crowd. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are created for more than you realize. And the most powerful truth, you are not just human. The Holy Spirit lives inside of you. You are not just your struggles, your weaknesses, or your limitations. You carry the presence of God. You walk with divine purpose. You are called not because of what you've done, but because of what He sees in you. So stop waiting for the world to define you. Stop letting your past shape your future. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and step into the identity that has been yours all along. Winners see themselves succeeding before it happens. Before a battle is won, it is first won in the mind. Winners don't wait for success to happen before they believe it's possible. They see it first. They envision it, they walk toward it, and they prepare for it long before it ever manifests. Where others see roadblocks, they see possibilities. Where others give up, they see themselves pressing forward. David saw himself victorious over Goliath before he ever stepped onto the battlefield. Others saw an unbeatable giant, but he saw a defeated enemy. Joseph saw himself in a place of leadership, even when life threw him into a pit and later a prison. His circumstances didn't look like success, but in his heart, he already knew where he was going. If you can't see yourself succeeding, you will struggle to move toward it. Winners think differently. They refuse to let past failures, doubts, or fears cloud their vision. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, they set their eyes on what could go right. How you see yourself matters. If you constantly envision failure, you will shrink back at the first sign of difficulty. But if you see yourself overcoming, winning, and achieving what you set out to do, your actions will start aligning with that vision. Winning begins with choosing to see yourself victorious, not waiting for circumstances to confirm it, but believing it before it happens. You are not waiting for success to find you. You are walking toward it with confidence, faith, and an unshakable mindset. Winners take action. They don't wait for perfect conditions. There will never be a perfect moment to start. Winners don't sit around waiting for the stars to align or for every obstacle to disappear before they take action. They step out in faith, knowing that movement brings momentum and that God blesses those who take bold steps forward. Too many dreams have died in the waiting room of hesitation. People tell themselves they'll start when they have more money, when they have more experience, or when they feel ready. But the truth is, you'll never feel fully ready. Winners understand that the best way to prepare is to start where they are, with what they have. When Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, he didn't sit in the boat debating the physics of it. He stepped out. He didn't wait for better weather, for calmer waves, or for a guarantee that he wouldn't sink. He moved. And even when he faltered, Jesus was there to lift him up. Moses didn't wait for the Red Sea to part before stepping forward. He moved in faith, and then God made a way. The priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant didn't wait for the Jordan River to dry up before crossing. They stepped in first, and then the waters receded. The 4 lepers in 2 Kings 7 didn't wait for certainty before walking toward the enemy's camp. They moved, and God multiplied their footsteps into the sound of an army. Some people are waiting for a goosebumps moment before they act, some emotional surge, some undeniable sign from heaven that it's time. But winners don't wait for chills down their spine to confirm what they already know needs to be done. They move forward even when they don't feel ready, trusting that faith is not about feelings, it's about obedience. In the real world, many hesitate, waiting for a sign they may never see before taking action. Some are waiting to feel fully qualified before they launch a dream. Others are waiting for absolute clarity before making a decision. Many are waiting for fear to disappear before they take a leap of faith. But winners don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They move forward despite uncertainty and trust that clarity often comes through action. If you're waiting for the right time, this is your sign. Start now. Step out. Take action. There's no telling what doors will open once you make the first move. Winners, take responsibility. No excuses, just growth. There's a difference between those who rise above challenges and those who remain stuck. Winners own their choices. They don't waste time blaming their past, their circumstances, or other people for where they are. Instead, they take responsibility for their actions, learn from their mistakes, and keep moving forward. While some people look for reasons why they can't succeed, winners focus on how they will. Excuses keep you trapped in the same place. I wasn't given the same opportunities. I don't have the right connections. It's too hard. These are not reasons. They are roadblocks people build for themselves. Winners don't waste energy explaining why they can't succeed. They figure out how to succeed despite the obstacles. They don't sit around waiting for perfect conditions or for someone else to make things easier. They recognize that setbacks can either be an excuse to quit or a lesson to grow. The difference is in the mindset. Think of Moses when God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. His immediate response wasn't faith, it was a list of excuses. I'm not good at speaking. What if they don't believe me? Can't you send someone else? But God didn't accept his excuses. Instead, he gave him a solution for every doubt. If Moses had refused to take responsibility for his calling, he would have never witnessed the Red Sea part or led an entire nation to freedom. Winners don't let fear keep them from their destiny. They step into it even when they feel unqualified. The same was true for Elijah. After witnessing incredible miracles, he ran for his life when Jezebel threatened him. He sat under a tree and told God, I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. He knew there were other prophets still alive. He had been told so before, but his fear had convinced him he was alone. That's what happens when excuses take root. We focus on the problem, not the solution. God didn't answer Elijah with pity. He gave him purpose. He told him to get up and continue his mission. If Elijah had stayed under that tree, discouraged and making excuses, his story would have ended there. Winners don't let their lowest moments define them. They don't let fear dictate their future. They don't sit in self-pity, waiting for someone to rescue them. They rise up, take responsibility, and move forward. So, what's stopping you from growing? Is it really your situation, or is it how you're responding to it? Winners don't focus on what's unfair or impossible. They take what they have, commit it to God, and use it to build something greater. Winners surround themselves with the right people. Iron sharpens iron. No one succeeds alone. The people you allow into your life will either push you forward or pull you back. Winners understand the power of relationships. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, inspire them, and hold them accountable. They don't waste time with negativity, drama, or those who drain their energy. Look at David and Jonathan. Jonathan didn't compete with David, even though David was destined to take the throne that could have been his. Instead, he strengthened David, encouraged him in the Lord, and stood by him in the most challenging seasons of his life. True friendships don't hinder your growth. They celebrate and support it. On the other hand, look at Samson and Delilah. Samson had great strength, but he surrounded himself with the wrong people. His lack of discernment led him straight into a trap that cost him everything. The wrong people won't just slow you down. They can completely derail your destiny. Who do you allow to speak into your life? Are your closest relationships building your faith, sharpening your vision, and pushing you toward God's purpose? Or are they filling your mind with doubt, distractions, and discouragement? Winners aren't afraid to walk away from relationships that no longer align with their purpose. They don't cling to friendships out of guilt, nostalgia, or fear of being alone. They recognize that not everyone is meant to walk with them into the next season of their journey. Even Jesus chose his inner circle wisely. He had the crowds, the disciples, and then the three, Peter, James, and John. He didn't give everyone equal access, and neither should you. Winners invest in relationships that strengthen their faith, push them toward their calling, and remind them of their identity when they forget. So, take a look around. Are the people in your life pushing you toward growth, or are they holding you back? Winners choose their circle wisely, knowing that the company they keep shapes their future. Some people spend their whole lives looking back, replaying past mistakes, reliving regrets, or even holding on to past successes as if their best days are behind them. But winners move forward. They don't just dream about the future, they take steps toward it. When Paul said, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on," Philippians 3:13-14. He wasn't just talking about letting go of failures. He was letting go of everything that could hold him back, including his past achievements. He knew that dwelling on what was behind him, good or bad, would only slow him down. Winners don't just wish for change, they take action. They don't wait for everything to be perfect before they move. They know that every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. They don't sit around hoping that their circumstances will change. They make the changes necessary to move ahead. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to start something new, stop waiting. If you're letting past failures define your future, let them go. If you're holding on to past victories, thinking your best days are behind you, shift your focus. God is not done writing your story. Your next chapter is waiting, but you won't step into it by standing still. Stop hesitating. Move forward. No looking back. Pressure reveals what's inside of you. Some people crumble when life gets hard. But winners bend, but they don't break. They might get knocked down, but they refuse to stay down. Life will test you. You will face resistance. People will doubt you. Challenges will come. But what separates those who win from those who give up is resilience, the ability to stand firm when everything around them is shaking. Look at Joseph. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. At any point, he could have broken. He could have given up, let bitterness consume him, and decided that life was unfair. But he didn't. He endured. He trusted that God was still in control, even when everything looked like it was falling apart. That's what resilience is: pushing through, trusting God, and standing firm even when life feels like it's working against you. Winners don't fold under pressure, they let the pressure refine them. Like gold in the fire, the trials that should have broken them only make them stronger. You might be going through something right now that feels overwhelming. Maybe you're questioning whether you have the strength to keep going. You do. Not because of your own ability, but because God is your strength. Resilience isn't about never struggling. It's about choosing to keep going, even when it's hard. So when the pressure builds, when life feels like too much, don't break. Stand firm. Keep going. Push through. That's the mindset of a winner. Winners know when to say no. Not every opportunity is their assignment. Not every open door is meant to be walked through. Not every good thing is a God thing. Winners don't say yes to everything. They have the wisdom to say no when something doesn't align with their purpose. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried again and again to distract him. But Nehemiah refused. He didn't get sidetracked by conversations that weren't worth his time. He said, "I am doing a great work and I cannot come down." Nehemiah 6:3. That's the mindset of a winner, staying focused, knowing what's worth your time, and refusing to come down for distractions. Winners recognize that busyness doesn't equal progress. Some people fill their schedules with commitments, but at the end of the day, they're running in circles. They're exhausted, but not effective. Winners operate differently. They evaluate opportunities through the lens of their purpose and aren't afraid to walk away from things that aren't part of their assignment. Think about Jesus. He didn't heal every sick person in Israel. He didn't visit every town. He didn't meet every single need, not because he didn't care, but because he was focused on his mission. He stayed aligned with the Father's will. And if Jesus had to say no to things that weren't his assignment, so do you. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's what allows you to say yes to the things that actually matter. Winners don't get caught up in trying to please everyone or chase everything. They know their calling. They stay focused and they keep moving toward God's best. So the next time you're faced with an opportunity, ask yourself, is this part of my assignment? If not, let it go. Winners don't just chase activity, they pursue purpose. Winners invest in themselves, they never stop learning. Winners understand that growth is a lifelong journey. They never assume they've arrived or know everything they need to know. Instead, they continually invest in their mind, skills, and spirit to become the best version of themselves. Successful people, whether in faith, business, or personal development, are always learning. They read, study, seek wisdom, and surround themselves with people who challenge them to grow. They know that stagnation is the enemy of success, and that those who stop learning eventually start declining. Look at Solomon. He was already the king of Israel. Yet he prayed for wisdom instead of wealth or power. And because he valued wisdom, God gave him more than he asked for. Winners recognize that wisdom is more valuable than money, fame, or influence, because wisdom creates all those things. But learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge, it's about applying it. Winners don't just collect information. They use what they learn to make better decisions, solve problems, and navigate life with clarity. They don't settle for what they knew yesterday because they are constantly sharpening themselves. Even Jesus, in his humanity, grew in wisdom. Luke 2:52. If he, the Son of God, took time to learn and develop, how much more should we? Winners invest in their spiritual growth, mental strength, and practical skills because they understand that who they are becoming is just as important as what they are doing. So, what are you doing to grow today? Winners don't wait for wisdom to drop into their laps. They seek it, study it, and apply it. Keep learning, keep stretching, and keep investing in the person God is shaping you to be. Winners guard their minds. They don't let negativity take root. Winners know that what fills their minds will eventually shape their lives. They don't allow negativity, fear, or doubt to take up space in their thoughts. Instead of dwelling on worst-case scenarios or replaying failures, they train their minds to focus on truth, possibility, and God's promises. You can't win in life if your mind is constantly feeding on defeat. That's why winners protect what enters their thoughts. They don't entertain toxic conversations, listen to voices that tear them down, or let discouragement shape their perspective. They take control of their thought life, filtering everything through the lens of faith and victory. Think of the Israelites who stood on the edge of the Promised Land. 12 spies went in, but only 2 came back with the mindset of winners. The others focused on the giants, the obstacles, the impossibilities. Joshua and Caleb, on the other hand, saw the same land but had a different mindset. They focused on God's promise, not the size of the enemy. The result? The 10 who gave in to fear died in the wilderness, while Joshua and Caleb entered the land of victory. Winners understand that their thoughts either push them forward or hold them back. That's why they guard their minds fiercely. They take every negative thought captive, replacing fear with faith, insecurity with confidence, and doubt with truth. They understand that before they can win on the outside, they must win in their thinking first. So, what's filling your mind? Are you focused on obstacles or opportunities? On fear or faith? Winners know that the battle is won or lost in the mind long before it's won in life. Guard your thoughts, stand on truth, and think like a winner. Winners have a vision. They know where they're going. Winners don't wander aimlessly through life. They move with purpose. They don't waste energy on things that don't align with where they're headed. Instead of reacting to life, they set clear goals and pursue them with intention. Without vision, people perish. Proverbs 29:18. And without direction, even the most talented individuals can find themselves lost. Think about Joseph. When he had his dreams, he didn't fully understand them, and the path to fulfillment was anything but easy. He faced betrayal, slavery, and prison, but he never lost sight of the vision God had given him. Even in the lowest moments, he kept moving forward, trusting that God's plan was still unfolding. A winner's vision doesn't just focus on success, it focuses on impact. They see beyond themselves, beyond temporary gain, and work towards something that will last. They aren't distracted by shortcuts or by what looks good in the moment. They are willing to endure the process because they know where they're going is worth the journey. What about you? Are you moving with purpose, or are you allowing life to push you in whatever direction the wind blows? Winners don't let circumstances dictate their path. They have a vision and they run toward it. Winners stay disciplined. They do what needs to be done, even when they don't feel like it. Winners don't wait for motivation. They rely on discipline. They know that success isn't about doing what feels good in the moment, but about consistently doing what is necessary even when they don't feel like it. While others quit when things get hard, winners push through, understanding that consistency is the key to long-term success. Athletes don't train only when they're excited. Writers don't wait for inspiration before putting words on a page. Great leaders don't lead only when it's convenient. Winners build habits that keep them moving forward regardless of how they feel. They understand that discipline is what bridges the gap between goals and achievement. Look at Daniel in the Bible. He didn't let the pressures of Babylon shake his commitment to prayer and obedience to God. Even when faced with the lion's den, he stayed disciplined in his devotion. That kind of consistency and unwavering commitment is what makes winners stand out. When emotions fluctuate, discipline holds steady. When the excitement fades, discipline keeps you going. Winners don't let their feelings dictate their actions. They train themselves to stay committed to their vision and calling. Because in the end, success doesn't belong to those who start strong. It belongs to those who endure. Are you waiting to feel ready, or are you committed to doing what needs to be done, no matter what? Winners show up, rain or shine, and because of that, they reap the rewards. Winners adapt. They adjust without losing sight of their goals. Winners don't get stuck in one way of doing things. They pivot when necessary, but never abandon their purpose. They understand that life is unpredictable and challenges will arise, but instead of resisting change, they embrace it, adjust their strategies, and keep moving forward. Think about Joseph. His dream was to lead, yet he found himself betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned. Did he give up? No. He adapted. In Potiphar's house, he became a faithful servant. In prison, he became a trusted leader. When the opportunity came, he stepped into his role as Egypt's second in command. His circumstances changed, but his calling remained the same. Winners know that rigidity is the enemy of progress. They don't let setbacks define them. If one door closes, they look for another way in. If their plans don't work out, they don't quit. They innovate. They learn from failures, adjust their methods, and continue the pursuit of their purpose. A tree that bends in the storm is the one that stands after the winds have passed. Winners are flexible, not fragile. They don't see change as a threat, but as an opportunity to grow, improve, and find new paths to victory. Your calling doesn't change just because your circumstances do. If something isn't working, don't be afraid to adjust. Stay locked on the vision but flexible in the process. Winners don't fear change. They use it to their advantage. Winners don't see failure as the end of the road. They see it as a lesson, a stepping stone, a necessary part of growth. Every setback carries wisdom, every mistake holds insight, and every failure is simply a lesson in disguise. Look at Peter. He walked on water, but started sinking when fear overtook him. He denied Jesus 3 times, thinking he had completely ruined his calling. But did failure disqualify him? No. Jesus restored him, and Peter became a bold leader of the early church. Winners don't let failure define them. They let it refine them. They evaluate, adjust, and try again. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Fear of failure is what keeps most people from even trying. Winners refuse to let fear hold them back. They step out, take risks, and if they fall, they get back up, learn what they need to, and keep pressing forward. The only real failure is quitting. Winners are generous. They lift others as they climb. True winners don't reach the top and keep all the wisdom, success, and opportunities to themselves. They don't hoard success, they multiply it. They understand that real greatness isn't just about personal achievement, it's about lifting others along the way. Look at Jesus. He didn't just perform miracles and move on. He taught, empowered, and equipped his disciples to continue his work. He wasn't just about his own mission. He was about building others up so they could walk in their calling too. Winners think the same way. Some people operate with a scarcity mindset, fearing that helping others will take something away from them. Winners operate with abundance. They understand that there's enough room at the top for everyone. Winners stay humble. They let success speak for itself. Winners don't need to announce their greatness to the world. Their work speaks for itself. They don't chase applause, demand recognition, or build their identity on titles and achievements. Think about the greatest leaders, innovators, and game changers. The ones who make a lasting impact aren't the loudest in the room boasting about their accomplishments. They're the ones who stay teachable, keep learning, and remain focused on the bigger picture. Pride makes people unteachable. It blinds them to correction and keeps them from growth. But humility keeps the door open for wisdom, new opportunities, and continued success. The moment someone thinks they've arrived, they stop growing. Because at the end of the day, winning isn't about how high you climb, it's about how well you serve while you're there. Winners don't just chase success, they align their lives with God's will. They understand that no matter how strong their plans may be, true success comes from trusting in God's direction rather than their own limited understanding. It's easy to rely on personal ambition, skills, and strategies to reach the top, but winners know that without God, even the best laid plans can crumble. They don't force doors open that God has shut, and they don't rush ahead when He says, "Wait." Joseph had dreams of greatness, but his journey to success didn't look the way he expected. He faced betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and years in prison. If he had relied only on his own understanding, he might have given up. Winners don't quit when things don't go their way. They trust that God is working behind the scenes. It takes faith to surrender control, to follow when the path isn't clear, and to trust when the process is painful. Their faith isn't just for when things are going well. It's the anchor that holds them steady in every storm. They walk boldly, not because they have all the answers, but because they trust in the one who does. At the end of the day, winning isn't about getting everything you want. It's about becoming the person God created you to be. And that only happens when you stay rooted in faith, trusting that His plan is always greater than your own. Winners don't just say they trust God, they live it out daily. Even when life doesn't make sense, even when prayers seem unanswered, they refuse to rely on their own understanding. Trusting God isn't about having all the answers. It's about believing He holds them, even when we can't see the full picture. Have you ever prayed for something only to feel like God wasn't answering? Winners don't mistake silence for absence. They know that just because things are not going as expected doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. God's delays are never His denials. Waiting isn't wasted time, it's preparation time. Abraham was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, yet he had to wait 25 years for Isaac. David was anointed as king, yet he spent years tending sheep and running from Saul before taking the throne. If they had given up during the waiting, they would have missed the fulfillment of God's promises. Winners understand that patience isn't about inactivity. It's about trusting in the bigger picture. They keep praying, keep believing, and keep moving forward because God's plan is never late. At the end of the day, winning isn't about personal achievements. It's about walking in obedience, even when you don't know where the path leads. The real victory is in trusting that God's plan is always greater than your own. Winners manage their time wisely. They prioritize what truly matters. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90:12. Winners understand that time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it never comes back. They don't waste hours scrolling endlessly, procrastinating, or saying yes to distractions that pull them away from their purpose. Instead, they prioritize the things that matter most: their faith, their purpose, their loved ones, and their growth. Look at Jesus. He had only 3 years of ministry, yet he never rushed, never wasted time, and never let distractions pull him away from his mission. He knew when to teach, when to rest, when to retreat in prayer, and when to act. Winners follow his example, ensuring that their time aligns with their calling. It's easy to be busy, but not productive. Winners don't just fill their days with tasks. They focus on what actually moves them forward. They guard their time, knowing that every yes to the wrong thing is a no to something God actually called them to do. What are you investing your time in? At the end of your life, will you look back and see a legacy of impact or just wasted opportunities? Winners number their days and live with intention because they know that every moment counts. Winners stay emotionally strong. They don't let feelings dictate their actions. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Proverbs 14:29. Winners master their emotions instead of letting their emotions master them. They don't make impulsive decisions based on fear, frustration, or insecurity. Instead, they step back, assess the situation, and respond with wisdom rather than reacting out of emotion. Life is full of highs and lows, and emotions are part of being human. But winners don't let their bad days define them or their temporary feelings control them. They know that just because they feel discouraged doesn't mean they are defeated. Just because they feel afraid doesn't mean they should quit. Think of Joseph, betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. He could have let bitterness consume him, but he chose faith over resentment and perseverance over self-pity. Winners understand that emotions are indicators, not dictators. They acknowledge them, but they don't let them steer the course of their lives. If you let every frustration, setback, or hurt feeling control you, you'll never reach your God-given potential. Winners stay steady, stay focused, and keep their eyes on the bigger picture, knowing that emotions are temporary, but purpose is eternal. I'm your host, Abigail. Keep winning with wisdom.